Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
All right, everybody. Happy Friday to all that is listening. I would like to thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Evan Worley. Happy Friday to everybody, or whenever you were listening to this. I know you obviously don't get to this on Friday every single time, but whenever you listen to this, good day to you. It's been a weird week, man. We're going to get into the weird baseball news. I spent it, fixing up the sister's nursery again, getting ready for the nephew to come in a couple months. We did the trim on the room, set up the T-mold, all that kind of stuff. We did the puttying and the painting and set up a dress. We actually got a dresser for the little guy. Got to go make a target run in a little bit after this episode's over, but no big deal on that. This weekend I'm going to be spending it at my sister's baby shower. There's a ton of sports on. I am so excited for today because we have college football back. I'm going to be watching that. We also have the Texans and the Chiefs tonight, but I'm not going to be watching that. I'm going to be watching the college football game, the Miami Hurricanes. Huge Hurricane fan here. So I'm definitely tuning into that. I am super excited for Saturday night, that is, because it is the big Mike Tyson fight. I know it hasn't been promoted that much, but Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. is going to be absolutely insane. I cannot wait to tune into that one because I'm a big Mike Tyson guy. Always have been a big Mike Tyson guy. So, anytime I'm able to, get my hands on a Tyson fight, whether that be on like ESPN Plus, no free ads, but, or like just watching it on YouTube, like the older games, it's sick. Like, I don't understand why anybody in the past even bought his fights, which a lot of people didn't because they would end in the first, couple minutes of each fight. But me being a huge boxing fan, I am super stoked on all of this for the weekend. Weird day yesterday. I guess it's because football season is technically starting today, but we had some football scores in baseball yesterday. The Brewers shot out and won 19-0 over the Detroit Tigers in a game that I thought was going to be the most, you don't watch a game that ends 19-0 and you go, oh, that's going to be the second wildest score that I see. But it was. I turned on my Braves and 29-9. It was absolutely insane. 3 homers by Adam Duvall. He had a 2-run shot, a 3-run shot, and a grand slam, almost getting the home run cycle if he just would have got a solo shot in the first inning. Insane. Ronald Acuna broke the franchise record on a bases-loaded double for the Braves in the 6th inning. Ozzie Albies is back. My favorite player on the Braves is finally back. He joined the parade hitting a homer. Freddie Freeman got his 1,500th hit of his career in a homer, opposite fields, or I don't think it was just a line drive homer. That's what it was. True Freddie Freeman style. It was absolutely unbelievable. And because of that, there was a lot of records. For the Milwaukee Brewers, It was they scored 19 runs on the 20th anniversary of Robin Yount's 3,000th hit, and they got 21 hits on Roberto Clemente Day, which is 21. Absolutely insane. Like, just weird numbers like that is absolutely crazy, because it's like you never expect it to happen, and then you look at the box score afterwards and you see the weird significance of it, and it's just, I don't know, man. It's just really insane. They had an incredible start by Corbin Burnes yesterday. He came out and he's lowered his ERA to 1.99 for the season, 64 strikeouts, 0.145 opponent's batting average, and 45 and a third innings in 2020. Absolutely dominant season for Corbin Burnes. He's right up there with the top Cy Young Award contenders with, Yu Darvish, DeGrom, Trevor Bauer. At the moment, the only two people that are higher than him in higher than F-WAR is Yu Darvish and Jacob DeGrom. So he's right up there in the Cy Young debate. Knowing after yesterday's game, he's probably, I would personally put him behind Trevor Bauer, but I feel like, the way that Trevor Bauer is, he leads towards controversy more often than not. I feel like he's going to get punished for that. And, they're just going to, they're going to do something to mess with him, and he's probably going to end up fifth just because of his on-the-field antics, but I don't really care. Trevor Bauer, I would take Trevor Bauer over Corbin Burnes this year at this point, but not any knock to him, obviously. We just read out the numbers, and it was absolutely insane. But yeah, like, the Cubs since last Saturday have not scored as many runs as they scored one more run in all those days from Saturday to today, and they had a doubleheader on Saturday. They scored one more run than the Brewers did yesterday. Absolutely insane. Like, the Brewers just absolutely destroyed the baseball. It's just, could this be, the game that gets everybody, like, scorching hot? Who really knows? Like, it was, like, it could actually be the thing. Like, it could be the game that just really sparks the Brewers, because we saw it what was it? Not last year, it was 2 years ago, where the Brewers were just kind of like they were just an average team. Nobody thought too much of it, and then they just got scorching hot out of nowhere, and they were able to take the division in game 163 against the Cubs, and put the Cubs in the wild card game, and the Cubs lost the wild card game or bounced. And it was just the Milwaukee Brewers were able to just dominate the last portion of the season. And it was just crazy. It could happen again. It could be the same thing all over again. And, that was just an insane game to watch. And then, going back to the Cy Young pitching matchup of Wednesday for everybody who's listening. But, we had Trevor Bauer and Yu Darvish. Trevor Bauer was out here 7 2/3, struck out 10, and of just 7 2/3 of shutout ball by Trevor Bauer in Wrigley Field. Absolutely insane. Trevor Bauer National League ranks first in WHIP, second in ERA, second in Ks, and second in average against. He absolutely dominated. And, he did win the game, but it wasn't like he just absolutely overpowered Yu Darvish. Like, Yu Darvish had 6 innings, had 9 Ks, and all he did was he just happened to give up a 3-run bomb to Mike Moustakas. Absolutely insane pitching matchup that lived up to all of the hype. I could not, I was so geeked up watching every single, at-bat of this game. Just seeing, a pitching matchup like this where it's just two of the best just throwing haymaker after haymaker. I know, a lot of people aren't super into that. They're out here, hoping for, the Sosa McGuire home run chase. They're expecting Barry Bonds splash shots left and right. But there's nothing like a good pitching duel, man. There's nothing like a good pitching duel. It's absolutely insane to watch, especially when both of them are the tops of their games and they really need it. Cincinnati really needs to win every game to fight back into the playoffs. I know that they're I know they're only like 2 games out, but still, it's like you can't take any games for granted with 3 weeks left. You have to go after it time and time again. Now, after that's over, let's go to my Atlanta Braves. I'm going to be spending a fair amount of time on the Atlanta Braves because they put together the greatest game of baseball I have ever seen. Like, I've never seen offense like this. And we're going to go over the team. Since 1900, we're going to go over the teams to score 25 or more runs in a game. The number one team, or I would say the number one offensive game of all time, since in the live ball era or common era or whatever the era they call since 1900. It was August 22nd of 2007. The Rangers put up 30 runs versus the Orioles. They beat them 30-3. And it was crazy. What was crazy about that game, obviously not just 30 runs, but they were scoreless through the first 3 innings of the game. Like, in the first game of a doubleheader against the Baltimore Orioles, it was 0-0 after 3 innings, and then they just put up a 30 spot. Absolutely ridiculous. Moving on, number 2 was actually last night. The number 2 offensive game of all time was the Atlanta Braves versus the Marlins of last night. You know, I said Adam Duvall, 3 homers, 9 RBIs. There were 7 home runs total in that game. Absolutely insane. And it was another thing that was really weird about it was Nick Markakis has played in both games. In 2007, he was the right fielder for the Orioles. So he was playing for the Orioles when they got smacked by 27 runs. And then he was also playing right field for the Braves when they smacked the Marlins for 20 runs. Absolutely crazy. Next up, there was actually a 3-way tie for 29 runs. You got the White Sox and the Kansas City A's of April 23rd, 1955. White Sox winning 29-6. And then you have the Sox and the St. Louis Browns of June 8th, 1950. 29-4 Red Sox victory over that. Then you got 28 runs by the Cardinals in 1929, 27 runs by the Indians in 1923, 26 runs, surprisingly, by the Kansas City Royals in 2004. And if anybody was watching baseball in 2004, I know I was. The Royals were a bad team. They were not good at all. The names list on this list, you have Angel Baroa, Alberto Castillo, David DeJesus, Ruben Gaute, and Calvin Pickerberg. What? Who are these people? Like, I know David DeJesus and I know Angel Baroa, and, who was starting in that game for the Kansas City Royals? A rookie 20-year-old Zach Greinke. Little throwback there for you. Going on, you have the Rangers 26-7 over the Orioles in 1996. You have the Cubs 26-7 over the Rockies in 95. Phillies 26-7 over the Mets in 85. Indians on here again in 1948, beating the Browns 26-3. You got the New York Giants back in the day versus the Brooklyn Dodgers in the 40s. These are all 26 runs. Like, even going back to 1911, the Reds 26 versus the Boston Rustlers. The Boston Rustlers, you heard me correctly, in 1911. Insane. And then if you go prior to 1900, you have the number 1 scoring output is the Chicago Colts in 1897 over the Louisville Colonials. So 36 runs. So the Atlanta Braves were only 7 runs away from the best offensive game in the history of baseball. I hope all of you were watching. I really do hope all of you were watching. You know, it was obviously the most runs in the NL ever. You know, it was just absolutely I'm so geeked about it. I need to actually stop talking about this, but I'm not going to. it was they're using this term scoregami for this, and I always hate that, not going to lie. Scoregami just doesn't make any sense to me. 18 of the Braves' 29 runs came from the home run. That's kind of insane. Like, you would expect it was a whole bunch of manufacturing runs, but the Atlanta Braves are a baseball team that, kind of relies on the home run ball a lot more than other teams. You don't expect them to be that team that just relies on the home run ball left and right to actually score their runs, but that's why I have very little to no faith in them in the postseason, is because, they hit a ton of homers, but when the postseason comes around, awareness is jacked up times 10, and, it's not, the best for teams to go in there with that kind of mindset that they're just going to drive the balls out of the ballpark. I don't know. I don't really like that kind of idea. And, it's also not a great deal, with the pitching staff the way it is. If you think about it, the Atlanta Braves have lost 6 starters this year. 6 of them. They lost Cole Hamels. They lost Felix Hernandez. Those guys chose not to play this season. They lost Fulton Edwich because he was just terrible, and they, sent him to the training facility in Nashville. They lost Soroka. Fried is out right now. And then there's one more. There's one more that they lost. What am I forgetting? I don't remember his name. But, yeah, I was talking to my buddies about this the other day. I was like, the Braves are still, just dominating and playing Braves baseball and winning by a ton. And they're down their top 6 starters. So, Braves fans, take this for what it's worth. We're killing it right now. But there's been many times the playoffs were coming around where we were killing it right now, and it didn't turn out the way that we wanted it to. But hopefully, we'll be able to get healthy, and we'll be able to take this into the bubble. Yeah, that's right, people. I said the bubble. It looks like there will be a bubble coming to baseball. I will be taking a quick break, and I will be breaking down the situation surrounding baseball's future bubble.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, everybody, we are back. So let's dive into this idea that the MLB is having about finally putting players in a bubble. So they were hinting about this first before any other league, as we all well known. We've talked about this a lot on this podcast. We've talked about it, in our social circles, everything like that. When baseball thought they were coming back, if any team was going to be able to have the infrastructure already available, any league, it would be the MLB, because they're sort of their own bubbles in Florida and in Arizona every year. It's called spring training. So we thought that was going to happen, and then, they said, we can do this, but we're not going to do this, what at blah, blah, and then the MLB or the NBA was like, we're going to take this idea and we're going to pair it with Walt Disney World, all this kind of stuff, and we're going to make a bubble, and it worked well. You saw it with even smaller tournaments like the TBT, the basketball tournament was in Camden, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, sorry. They were in Columbus, doing their tournament, and they did a bubble, and everything went fine. There was no positive tests. They were still able to play. They had all their games and everything like that. So everything went really smooth. And news came out today that the Major League Baseball and the Players Union are moving towards an agreement for the final 3 rounds of the postseason, with the entire World Series to be played at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. So, now, it gets a little bit tricky because it also says that it would be the stage for the World Series as well as the National League Championship Series, which is weird because it doesn't look like, I don't know why they would mention the NL Championship Series but not the AL Championship Series. So maybe they're hinting at there's another place in the works to do the ALCS instead, and have the NLCS in Texas, which is kind of weird. I just read this article and I jot down some notes and everything like that. So I'm looking at it as like, all right, what is everything? So it looks like they're going to be doing the AL in Southern California, because it says, per the article, the only holdup to officials are said is the details and on the health and safety protocols for the proposed bubbles, plural, in Texas and Southern California. So basically they just are wanting to have as little travel as possible, and I think that would be more productive. Once again, I think that the spring training facilities are just fine. Like, I've been to the Cactus League and it's a lot of fun. The fields are incredible. I love the facilities, but I don't know why they wouldn't just use those. But I mean, I guess if you can put it in a real big league stadium, it's just which stadium would they choose? Would they, since it's just the American League that's going to Southern California, will they do, are they going to do Dodger Stadium? Are they going to do Angel Stadium, like San Diego? Like, I feel like teams would like to play in San Diego a little bit more. It's kind of confusing that they would break it up like that and not just do one field, especially with a playoff system where it's, I mean, I guess, it gets more games out in one day and, just less cleanup factor, because a baseball game is a lot of wear and tear on the ballpark. It's not like it's not like a basketball game where you just run over it with the little, like, Swiffer after, to mop up the sweat and, the dust and everything, and you're good. There's a lot of time and care that goes on to a Major League Baseball field, so I think it could be better if it were that way, because, I mean, you would still have, you have the Globe Life Park in Arlington, and then, there's actually no other place to go. But I mean, if you did have it in Los Angeles, you could have, LA, you could have it as the Dodgers and the Angels, because they're pretty, close in proximity. But they're still trying to reach an agreement for accommodations for the family members at the neutral sites. The MLB is requesting that the family members be isolated for 7 days before joining the players in their hotels. Same requirements as the NBA and NHL. The family members, once they are isolated, will be permitted to join their families in the hotels for the Division Series and the LCS. Now, this is for the Division Series and the LCS, so the opening round is going to be played at the home stadium of the higher seed. So, the 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds are all going to get home games, and then whoever advances to the next round will have to go into the bubble, which is strange. It might be because wouldn't they have to quarantine themselves since they're going into the bubble anyways? If the families are going to get quarantined for 7 days, then why don't they get quarantined for 7 days? I get that they're being tested all the time and everything's going fine the way it is, but I feel like, if you're going to do the precautions, I mean, don't half-ass it. Like, do it right and get all the precautions done where they need to get done. If not quarantined, they could still be at the World Series as guests of the MLB, but they are unable to stay in the team hotels. So it looks like if they even don't want to be quarantined, they can still go to the World Series, but they can't stay in the hotels, which is really weird. the Dodgers have come out and pushed back on the idea of implementing protocols. Justin Turner told The Athletic that preventing players from being with their families for the first best of 3 rounds during the playoffs. It's I don't know where he's going with that. I guess that he wants the families to be able to go to the best of 3 games. They didn't really specify that, but still, it's like it's a best of 3 series. It's going to be you're probably going to play every day, every other day, just like every other baseball series. So, if that's the case, the winning team is fine. You're just going to go into the bubble with your family and you're just going to chill there. And either way, they're still with their families. It's not like they're quarantined or isolated any other way. It's just you're just keep going and you're playing games. It's not like you're playing at a certain hotel. You're just getting tested a little bit more. I don't understand the whole big deal about that. The bubble format obviously designed to be kind of a guard against another outbreak that will disrupt the postseason. And the postseason is worth a whopping $787 million in TV money. And with an extra round of playoffs this year, the officials say that that would repay ESPN for their missed network games during the regular season. And there's also $50 million playoff pool for the players. So just off that one extra round of the playoffs, ESPN will get their money back for every single game that they would have played. And that's Wednesday night baseball, that's Sunday night baseball. Everything that they missed throughout the year, they will get repaid in one single advanced playoff series. The money is insane. Money is absolutely insane. And there's also $50 million playoff pool for the players. So the players get an extra incentive in their paychecks worth a total of $50 million. Now, obviously, that's not to each player, but $50 million total to all the players, that's insane. As we all know, the playoffs, they're going to open with 3 division winners, obviously, and then a team with the NESPECS record is going to be the top 4 seeds. And if the postseason started tomorrow, it would be the Rays, Oakland, the Chicago White Sox, and the Cleveland Indians would be the first 4 seeds, in the first in the AL, while in the NL it would be the Dodgers, Braves, Cubs, and Padres. Nothing has changed from the last episode. I know I broke down what would happen if the playoffs ended today, but over the weekend, nothing really changed. The White Sox and the Cleveland Indians are still, deadlocked at the top of the AL Central. The Oakland A's were able to extend their lead to 5.5 games. Tampa Bay is just clear-cut, sitting on top, chilling of the AL East. You don't have to worry about the Yankees. The Yankees somehow, they did get a game to not go below 500 for the first time since 95, but, it's damn near inevitable at this point. So, I guess we'll see how it goes. Anything could still change, but, as of right now, those would be the home teams for the playoff series. And, that will actually be the last time anyone can have a home field advantage. What it looks like at the very bottom of this article, they would say that the American League postseason will shift to Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles and Petco Park in San Diego for the 2 divisional series. So it looks like they will have teams stationed in AL. Oh, and they're going to, wow, why'd they put this at the very end of the article? So they're doing it in LA and Petco Park for the American League, and they're putting the National League and Globe Life Field in Arlington and Minute Maid Park in Houston. Those are very far apart. They make it seem like they're so close, but yeah, it's very, very far apart. So that's where their bubbles would be, so they don't have to go change. The NLCS will be played at Globe Life Field, and the winner staying put for the World Series. So yeah, Globe Life Park is going to get the World Series and the NLCS. The AL playoffs will be would be at Dodger Stadium, and Petco Park, home of the Padres. The Padres will be getting the ALCS, so Petco Park is going to be home of the ALCS, and Globe Life Field will be the NLCS. I think that's kind of ironic that you put the ALCS in the NL side, and you would put the NLCS in the AL side. That just seems kind of backwards. They could have thought that through just a little bit more. Like, just a tad bit more. And you could, you could really, do some damage with that. All right, everybody, I'm going to be taking a quick break, and I'll be right back because it looks like we have a new suitor for an expansion team. MLB expansion is becoming realer and realer by the moment, and it looks like we got some pretty heavy hitters, investing in a new team in the Music City. I'll be right back after this break.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, everybody, let's jump right into this. I don't think I've been more hyped on news like this. Well, just news about baseball in general in a long, long, long time. So, as all of you know, I'm so deeply in love with the history of sports. I love reading up on how sports used to be, on how everything was done back in the day, all the players back in the day, because if there's one thing that I love to read about, it's trends in life, trends in, history, trends in sports, trends in music, just how things, come and go in waves. And, we have history coming. It seems like it is unavoidable at this point, and I am so hyped about it. So the articles are being written. 10-time Grammy Award winning artist Justin Timberlake, he just put his money on board to get a Major League Baseball franchise into Nashville. So what's so big about Justin Timberlake doing this? What's so big about what's the big deal about this? So it's not only Justin Timberlake, it's Dave Stewart, the general manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks. You have Dave Dombrowski. You have John Lohr. You have a lot of investors. And this will be the first black-owned team in Major League Baseball, which is, I know a lot of people aren't looking at it as a historical thing, but this is a historical thing. This is history. This is something that we need to be excited about. I'm not going to, dive into like race relations and all that kind of stuff because this is not the format to do that. But it's exciting to see something new, something refreshing come into the game, something like it's something that has not happened before. And one thing that I am super, like, I don't even know the word, excited about, just happy about, I'm like enthralled by it, is they're paying homage to the Negro League team of Nashville. There will be the Nashville Stars. And it's something, there's something about it that I just love about, it's like a revitalization of what the city is about. I don't like when, say like Seattle gets another basketball team and they have to choose something completely different besides the Supersonics. I don't like that. It's like everybody wants that team back. If Montreal were to get a team and they chose something besides the Expos, you're going to look at it and it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel like it's a missed opportunity. It's like, who are these guys? Like the Washington Nationals came back and they were the Washington Nationals at one point. They were the Washington Nationals and they were the Washington Senators. So you had two teams, two team names you can go for, and they brought them back, which was nice to see. I was too young at the time to really get the significance of it, but now looking at it, it makes sense, seeing, a team come to Nashville who's never had a real professional team, and then they just hit you right in the face with, oh yeah, we're bringing the Negro Leagues back. Like it's just exciting to me. Justin Timberlake, obviously he's not the face of this, but he's part owner of the Memphis Grizzlies. He became a minority owner of the Grizz in 2012, back when they were the Grit and Grind Grizzlies and all that kind of stuff. A huge advocate for Tennessee sports. He was quoted as saying I'm thrilled to be involved with a movement to bring Major League Baseball to the great state of Tennessee. I believe in the Music City's baseball vision of linking baseball and music in a unique way to unite and entertain the people, and I'm excited to help generate awareness throughout the community as well as share our vision of bringing the MLB to the Music City. So, Dave Dombrowski became, he was a American baseball executive. He's really, he's put in the work to do all of this. Dave Stewart is saying, when they asked him about, the Negro Leagues role, because they're also, the Nashville team, they're looking to, create a licensing deal with the Negro League museums to, really pair that to, bring history and, show everybody, what the Negro Leagues were like, and go visit the museum. And I have never been there, but it's on my list. Like, I want to go to the Baseball Hall of Fame, and I've always wanted to go to the Negro League Museum just to see what it was like, because it happened. And I think that's something that we should, take pride in. We should see what it was like back in the day. Everybody gets that hit of nostalgia when they go into their closet when they're cleaning it out and they find their old Easton, back when. Or how about, when your dad found his old bat, or your mom, or, your uncle, whatever, and you found an old bat, and it was just, as kids, you had those metal bats, and it didn't even have a name on it. Like, everybody's like, oh, the DeMarini Voodoo, the Stealth, all these kind of stuff. It was just like, remember when bats just were metal? They were one stick of metal, and then in, like, that all silver, and then it just had Easton on it. It was just green letters, Easton. And that was your bat. Like, those times you look at it and you go, wow, like, we've grown so much from this point, and I can't believe that people were using this product back then, and, and not, like, the new stuff. Like, how did we ever get along with that? And it's just, or get by, I should say. And, it's, I don't know, to me, that excites me. Like, that, it shows, like, a growth, it shows a process, and I love the hell out of that. Dave Stewart is quoted by saying, the Negro Leagues have played an important role in baseball's past, and I look forward to being a part of the legacy as it lives on through the Nashville Stars. He's going to serve he's an advisor for the Music City Baseball. Music City Baseball is a website that you can go to, MLBmusiccity.com. They have the history of it. It says, baseball is the first organized sport ever played in Nashville. It's a sense of pride for the Nashville Stars. Baseball is in our DNA. The Stars are deeply rooted in Nashville's rich baseball history going back to 1860. See, like, stuff like that. If it's a part of the city's culture, it's a part of the city's culture. It's like when, they're looking at teams in Portland, Oregon. Portland has been, it's been thrown around that they're going to get a team, to compete in the MLB in like an expansion type scenario. And everybody's thinking, oh, what should they be named? What should they be named? What should they be named? And it's like there's a documentary called The Battered Bastards of Baseball that are, on Netflix, which is a phenomenal documentary. I recommend everybody watch that if they haven't seen that already. And it's just about how the Portland Mavericks, and it just embodies what Portland is. The whole slogan of keep Portland weird, and, everything's kind of different, and they do things differently, and it's just like they have more fun with less because they just make the best of it. Because it's like, we're Portland, this is just who we are. We make the best out of what we can get, and we're going to compete no matter what, and just look like it was so much fun. So, like, I don't know why they would try and branch out from anything other than just the Portland Mavericks. I think, you have the minor league team. It's either minor leagues or independent league team, the Portland Pickles. That's a little weird. But, I feel like they could have had a missed opportunity. Then to go back with the Portland Mavericks, like if they're able to work out a deal, I know Bing Russell was the creator of it. So, maybe the Kurt Russell still has like the rights to the name or something like that. I feel like they could work out a deal because it just looked like so much fun to be around. It looked like it was something that you could really build upon. You can really just own it and just rebrand it and just own it and just become it again. And you're just competing in a professional level, and you just the entertainment, just the ideas that you can present through like event coordination and everything like that is just going to be a little bit different and a little bit weirder, and it's going to bring a culture to baseball again that I think is what we're missing right now. It just feels so cut and dry, and everybody does the same things. Like, we need a culture in the game again. And something like, something like this with the Nashville Stars, something like with the Portland Mavericks, if they're, expanding, it's going to be something that they can really bring back. It's like, I know with Target Field, Target Field has this bar or this restaurant, I should say, it's more than a bar, in right field. It's called Bat and Barrel, and you walk inside and it just has, Joe Mauer's MVPs, his Silver Slugger awards. It has all the Gold Gloves from Torrey Hunter to, everybody before and everybody after is, the World Series trophy from, the late 80s and early 90s. You have Kirby Puckett's jersey hanging in there, and there's just so much history of the Twins in that one thing. And it was my favorite thing to do when I was at Twins games, was to walk around and just look at all the stuff. Because obviously, being in our position as just like an average person, we're never going to be in the position, or, well, I should never say never, but, unless you were able to work in the like executive levels and, really hold it, we'll never be able to touch those things. So just being able to see it in real life and, see a Gold Glove award, see, the Silver Slugger awards, the MVPs, the World Series trophies, like, the MLB gets a lot of, it gets a lot of trash thrown at it for the MVP award, or no, the World Series, for how it looks. The World Series trophy is freaking beautiful. Like, it is gorgeous to look at, and I just like gaze at it all the time. And if they're able to get like a Negro League trophy from the championships in there, like, I can't even imagine. I've never actually seen it. I want to see it. I want to, I don't want to Google it either. I want my first time to see what it is, to be like in the moment. Because I'm that kind of person. I'd rather live through the moment than just be like, oh, that's what it looks like. Okay, let me try and find it while I'm there. I just want to live it. But this is something that it's more than just, it's more than just baseball. It's more than everything. And, everybody knows the significance of the Negro Leagues. You had Satchel Paige, Jackie Robinson, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Roy Campanella. You have so many, guys that are, ingrained in baseball and the history of the game. Say what you want about Barry Bonds. If you don't like Barry Bonds and you consider Hank Aaron to be the home run king, then Hank Aaron, a Negro League player, is the home run king. Jackie Robinson Day. Everybody wears 42. We just had Roberto Clemente Day. I don't think he was in the Negro Leagues. I think he would be on here. He was more of like a Spanish player, but still, there's so many players that are at the top of the game that we celebrate so much, that are just ingrained in the culture of baseball, that are black or Spanish, some along those lines. And the fact that we're able to get a team that really celebrates just where they were able to come from, it's exciting. It's something new. It's going to bring a new flavor to baseball, and I can't wait till baseball approves this. And with the Nashville Sounds, they have, their Jumbotron is a giant guitar. So yeah, you can incorporate the past and infuse it with the future, the present, and what you think the future will be. And, there's a lot that could come of it. And I think that, it's a really exciting, it's a really exciting opportunity for all of it. With the expansion fees, are experienced to generate between $2 to $3 billion, with the MLB. So there's a lot more, that could come around with teams. You would have to get 2 teams. So you think about it, 2 teams with the expansions generates about $2 billion. So you're thinking about $4 billion with 2 teams if they expand, say they go to Portland, say they go somewhere like Montreal, whatever the case may be. Well, the MLB, it was going to lose $4 billion in 2020 revenue compared to what they did in 2019. So we're looking at, how can they, are they going to, are they going to push expansion? How long are they going to wait for the expansion to come? It's probably coming sooner rather than later, if we're being completely honest with ourselves. Because $4 billion, the MLB does not pinch pennies at all whatsoever. They're going for it. They're going to go for it. And I feel like it's going to be pushed, not to the brink, but it's going to be pushed pretty quickly. There's a few hurdles that they have to go through, obviously, before they get it done. The Nashville Sounds owner, Frank Ward, pointed out in an interview with the Tennessean in July that the team plans so far, it just lacks some details, like majority owners, financing, and there are issues like territorial rights and building a stadium where residents are facing, Nashville residents are facing a 34% property tax hike. And, businesses are losing $100 million, per week in visitor spending. And, who's going to help, who's going to help them build the stadium and all that kind of stuff. And they're saying those are hurdles, but I feel like, they can, the owners, and once they find a majority owner, or even then, the fact that it's it could be the first black owned team in the MLB, I feel like there's a lot of, rich black entertainers or black businessmen that are, or business women, maybe a girl's going to come in here and she's going to throw some money down and just be like, what's up? I want in. They could really set the tone. I feel like this is one of the things that they can really push and get a bunch of, support on, and it would just kill it. I think that they can really get it done. I think they can really, really, really get it done. And this is exciting. God, this is so exciting. Let's just see this come into fruition. It's going to be so sick. I don't know who I would want more to go along with, the expansion team of Nashville. because I do like the idea of Portland going to, bringing back the Mavericks and, creating that kind of, feel, because, Nashville is more of an, because they put Nashville in the Western Conference in hockey, I think. I think Nashville is a part of the Western Conference, even though it's more of an East Coast, technically it's the South, but I would say it's the Southeast, because Vanderbilt's in Nashville, and that's in the Southeastern Conference. So yeah, I would say it's around this, like the Southeastern coast. If they were to put a team in Nashville, I think they would put them in the National League. It doesn't even matter because the National League's not built in the coast. But, kind of since that's an Eastern team, I would rather put that in the Portland team in, whatever they may be. Or, if they go to Nashville and they want to put that in, have them be like the American League and, put, the Montreal Expos back in the National League. Something along those lines. Like, they can get really weird with it. There's gonna be changes being made and all that kind of, all that jazz. And, but it's exciting to see where everything's gonna go from this. Like, I cannot be more excited to see where everything's going. Once I hear any more news about it and everything like that, obviously I'm gonna keep you guys updated on the show, because, anything about sports just gives me the heebie-jeebies, and, sports history, even then, is just like, I'm ready. I'm chomping at the bit to, learn anything more about, the history of the game. All right, everybody, I'm going to be taking my last break, and I'll be right back to finish the show with what to watch for. I'm going to go over the weekend series ahead, and I'm just going to point out, the best matchups that you're going to want to watch this weekend, alongside their football and your boxing and all that kind of stuff. Whatever you like to do on the weekends, this is just something that you're going to be able to tune right into, and kill time, spend some time with family, all that stuff. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to take a quick break.
Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores a goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
Alright, everybody, and we are back. Thank you so much for sticking around this far into the episode. We're just going to close this out how we normally do. So I have the game set in front of me. Obviously, Friday is, it's the 19th anniversary of September 11th, so there's going to be a lot of, a lot of big ceremonies going on, and all that kind of stuff, just to remember what happened, a part of American history and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a pretty big day for sports, and there are some incredible pitching matchups that I am so stoked on being able to watch. From 4:10 in Central Time to 8:40 Central Time, great matchups everywhere in between. So we're going to start off with the first game of the day is Aaron Nola versus Trevor Rogers. Miami has some troubles. They have a 7-game series. They have 7 games in 5 days due to double headers that they have to, make up against the Philadelphia Phillies. So they got, Aaron Nola versus Trevor Rogers. Aaron Nola, we know, is back up and at him as the ace that he is, versus Trevor Rogers, who, really needs to extend it. He needs to have a good start. The Marlins need to have their starters come out and have a great start, especially after the absolute shellacking they took last night at the hands of the Braves. So it's just something, that they need to be ready for. And it's a lot of pressure on Miami because, they're a young team. They're a team that, caught everybody off guard. They need to have a good start and really you ride that bullpen out as much as they can, for just the rest of the season, and that frees up a lot of space in the minds of the Phillies. They could come out, kind of exhale, kind of breathe a little easy. The Marlins are going to come out with a little extra oomph, but one big smack and it could rattle them. You can get one big tank by Bryce Harper, another hard hit ball by JT Realmuto. Rhys Hoskins has been hot. So, one of those guys, just has himself a game, like a 3-run shot off a walk and a little single. And, that could be all she wrote for the Marlins in the whole series. We don't really know. We'll keep an eye on that one. Going to Atlanta, you have Josh Tomlin versus Eric Fedde. I've never seen Eric Fedde pitch. I don't even know if that's his real name. Fedde. I've never actually seen that before. I just know Josh Tomlin is normally a reliever. He is not a starter. So it's going to be big to see, how far he can go. Washington is, chilling in last place in the NL East, but that doesn't mean they don't want to play spoilers on anybody. So I don't know if you would keep an eye out on that one. It's the second game of the day, so little early. On the West Coast, you got a nice little 3:00 game. On the East Coast, you have your nice 6:00 early game. Really start off the night well. You might want to tune in, maybe catch some homers, see some celebrations, that kind of stuff. And then right after that, 30 minutes later, you have Jacob deGrom versus Chase Anderson. Toronto, red hot. Jacob deGrom looking like he could win the 3rd straight Cy Young Award. The Mets aren't anything to, rant and rave about, but, you're not going to pass up a Jacob deGrom start. If you pass up a Jacob deGrom start, then I don't really think you're a true baseball fan. Even after that, if you're into pitching matchups, right after that, you got Tampa Bay and Boston. We got Blake Snell on the mound. Blake Snell is one of the top pitchers in the game. Tampa Bay, has really figured out their rotation. Charlie Morton threw the other day and pitched phenomenally. His curveball is back and better than ever. Being able to watch Blake Snell is a thrill ride, to say the least. You got the up-and-coming Baltimore Orioles, who are looking like they could take the playoff spot away from the Yanks. The Yanks are playing, they're throwing Masahiro Tanaka versus Asher Wojciechowski, that's what I'm going with. Asher Wojciechowski and Masahiro Tanaka. The Yanks are fighting for their lives right now. Gleyber Torres had a pretty good game yesterday. They beat the Toronto Blue Jays 7-2, but they're not going to lose every game. That's just an absolute fact. So, they're fighting. The Orioles, they got a head of steam, going full steam ahead. It's going to be something to watch. I would definitely keep my eye out for that one. My favorite matchup, this is my favorite matchup, hands down, September 11th. Mark it down. I'm watching this game. I'll have my popcorn ready, and if anybody tries to text me, I'm not responding. It's my guy Casey Mize versus Lucas Giolito, Detroit, Chicago. Get ready. The futures of baseball are coming at it with this game. Lucas Giolito has been throwing lights out since his no-hitter. Casey Mize has the stuff to be a number one. He is an incredible pitcher. I love watching him. And what more do you want? A packed AL Central. The Chicago White Sox are the second best record in the AL, still fighting for their lives. You have Detroit, who is the 4th team in the AL Central, and they are only 2 games out of a playoff spot. They're fighting with the Baltimore Orioles. They're fighting with the Yankees. Unbelievable series. This is going to be a slugfest. Casey Mize, Giolito, mark it down. Don't miss it. Right as that game is starting, you have John Lester versus Brandon Woodruff. Cubs, Milwaukee. What a starting pitcher matchup. Brandon Woodruff, one of the best pitchers in the game, versus John Lester, one of the just goats of the game right now. Of the past 10 years, John Lester has been one of the best pitchers, pitched in so many World Series games, so many big games. When the lights shine bright, he is there. I try not to miss John Lester's starts, but I actually might have to miss John Lester's start today, or on Friday, might I correct myself. And then right as that game's starting, so you have a triple header, same time, 8:10 Eastern time. Cleveland, Shane Bieber is in Minneapolis facing the Twins. The Twins have not announced who they're going to throw yet, but my goodness. You're telling me that Shane Bieber is going to be on the mound against the Minnesota Twins while the Twins are fighting for their lives with the Cleveland Indians for that spot on the top of the AL Central. You got look at that time frame. At 7:10 Central, 8:10 Eastern time, you have Casey Mize, Giolito, John Lester, Brandon Woodruff, and Shane Bieber all on the mound at once. And then 5 minutes after that, you have Cincinnati and St. Louis. You got Luis Castillo and Adam Wainwright. Mize, Giolito, Lester, Woodruff, Bieber, Castillo, Wainwright. All in the span of 5 minutes. Are you kidding me? That is the most insane lineup ever. How do you choose? What do you want to watch? How do you choose? Like, I'm going to have probably 2 games on, and out of all of those games, I think I'm going AL Central all the way. I'm going Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, Minnesota, and I'm just rolling with it. That's what I'm going to be doing. And then I'm going to be looking for updates on, how Lester's doing and how, Brandon Woodruff's going. Later in the night, you have incredible pitching matchups. You got Johnny Cueto versus Garrett Richards. That's going to be, one pretty big showdown. I'll be tuning into that one basically because, who doesn't love the oatmeal pinstripes that is, the San Diego Padres? Absolutely gorgeous uniforms. I will not be missing that one. And then let's go on to Saturday, the big day. So let's go down this list. You got Chris Bassett throwing again. He was incredible the other day. If you just like pitching, tune into that. They're playing the Texas Rangers, nothing to write home about, but who doesn't love a great pitching matchup? You got the newcomer in Atlanta, Ian Anderson versus Patrick Corbin. Another studly pitching matchup. Ian Anderson kind of reminds me of like Mark Mulder back in the 2000s. And, you got Patrick Corbin coming out, and everybody knows how great Patrick Corbin's going to be, or Patrick Corbin is. He's one of the most consistent pitchers in the bigs. Like, what you're getting out of Patrick Corbin. It's going to be an incredible start. Braves are red hot versus Patrick Corbin. What a matchup that's going to be. You got the Philadelphia Phillies with the Miami Marlins again. You got Zach Wheeler versus Jose Urena. Jose Urena is not going to get in trouble because he's not going to hit Ronald Acuna in the arm every single chance that he gets. But Zach Wheeler versus Urena, once again, a lot of pressure on Urena to have a good start to, take that stress off of the bullpen. We'll see if, he's able to do it. Got Seth Lugo going for the Mets. Don't know who the Blue Jays are throwing. You got Tyler Glasnow throwing for the Tampa Bay Rays. Like, he's going to carve up the Boston Red Sox. I cannot wait to watch that one. Michael Fulmer for the Detroit Tigers. They have the Chicago White Sox haven't said who they're throwing yet. You have a crazy pitching matchup with Kyle Hendricks versus Brett Anderson, in Milwaukee and Chicago. Let's see, Colby Allard's going to be throwing. Zach Plesac versus Kenta Maeda. Like, that's going to be an incredible matchup. Justice Sheffield versus Zach Gallen is a good matchup. Anthony Descalfini versus Dakota Hudson. Kevin Gausman versus Dinelson Lamet. Like, what an incredible matchup that you guys are going to be getting this weekend. I cannot wait. And all right, everybody, that is our show. I would like to thank everybody for listening to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask you all to please remember to subscribe and write a nice review. That really helps us. And if you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, you can follow me personally on Instagram at EvanWorley23. You can play me at Tap Baseball at EvanWorley23. Everybody enjoy your Friday, enjoy your families, and be sure to enjoy this week's slate of baseball. I will catch you on Tuesday with a brand new episode. See y'all on the next one.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.